Flights before pints, right? Well, you can do the same thing and have your own little tasting party. Head out to Wegmans, head out to Consumer Beverages, create your own selection that you can sit down and enjoy with a good movie on a Sunday afternoon. That's what I did, and that's what we're going to do here, a little review of a Sunday afternoon of beer tasting and, well, a Marvel movie. But we're not going to spoil the movie for you, but we are going to spoil the beers. The Buffalo Brews podcast starts right now. Yo, holla holla. It's another episode of the Buffalo Brews podcast. I am your host, Jason Ettinger. It is Tuesday, it is Brews Day, and you know what that means. We're going to sit down and talk to you about things that are going on in Western New York this week, and we're also going to sit down and talk to you about a beer tasting and movie party that I was part of. Tell you what was good out there and tell you what was definitely not so good. They can't all be winners, folks. Hey, join us every week, just like you do on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Casterbox, you name it, we're out there. And you can also use that opportunity to find whatever your friends or your family or your coworkers use as a podcasting platform and be able to forward episodes or forward the subscription to the podcast to them, and then they can listen as well as you do each and every week with us here. So welcome, and let's jump right into things here this week because it's definitely been an interesting couple of weeks, bouncing around getting things done. Hopefully you dried out from the deluge that was Western New York over the past few days. Spoke to a lot of friends who just basically took a whooping from the amount of rain that we received over these last few days. It was even causing a little havoc for myself, not so much my basement, but more so my car, because I thought it was causing some havoc with my engine, the fact that it had sat there for a few days going through everything. But I just realized there was a little hiccup with the air intake and a little tweak, a little adjustment, a little smack with the hammer, and we're back in business. Man, I always thank my dad for giving me the knowledge to be able to fix cars quickly, thoroughly, and with as few swear words as necessary, and that seems to be the case here. So, yeah. On to an oil change next, and then we'll move forward. But hey, I've been putting the miles on the car for sure. Like I said, over 4th of July weekend, I made a trip down to Mayville and Bemis Point to visit family. And this weekend, I am actually taking this coming Friday as well as next Monday off, and I'm headed to Rochester to be a part of the Veterans Classic Golf Tournament. So this is my first ever tournament. No, I'm not scared, but I'll tell you what, it's there are definitely nerves there, but I have no reason to be nervous. This is a group of guys, 15 guys, 1 girl, as I understand it, and we all play together as part of the PGA Hope program, and Coach Brian Jacobs, who has been my coach for the past several years, hosts this tournament out in Rochester. So basically, this is going to be played as a best ball style tournament. I would assume that we're going to be broken up into teams. It's not going to be individual play then. And then as teams, I'm assuming we're going to be playing this out over the 3-day period as we compete and have fun and some camaraderie. It is a camping style situation as well. I was informed that the land that we were originally going to camp on was also flooded, and as a result of the monsoon season that is Western New York. So that the location has been changed in the interim, which is fine. And I have sold a large part of my camping gear back when I was married and my son was back home. We used to camp a lot with him growing up, but now that he's away and has his own life going on in Hawaii and doing the single thing, so I had taken the time to get rid of a lot of the big camping gear I had, and instead have been basically repurchasing things to accommodate backpack camping. So I have a little 2-man tent. Going to go back to kind of my roots when I was younger. I've got the instead, enjoying the comfy camping mats that go along with getting old, as opposed to the cots, which will, which would do nothing but, cause me sleepless nights. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to this weekend. As part of next week, I know what I said that even this week that we were going to talk about Main Street in Buffalo, but we're going to change that up to go into this tasting party that I was part of. Next week is actually going to be an audio diary of the weekend, because while I'm in Rochester, I am going to visit a few breweries while I'm out there. And what I'm going to also do is kind of go over the days, because, part of the things to do in Western New York is we have a very large golf community here as well, and that spreads out into Rochester as well. So there will be 3 courses that I'll be playing out there. I'm going to be talking about the courses themselves, the opportunities that we have to kind of explore the grounds and take in different parts of Rochester and some of the things that are going on out there. So I'll share that as part of my audio diary for next week's episode, and then the following week is then when we'll get into the discussion about Main Street in Buffalo. So, it'll allow me to tweak it and kind of build that up a little bit more. And I look forward to delivering that to you. Now, things that are going on around Western New York. I want you to take the time, if you have it, to join me and a bunch of my friends tomorrow as we head down to 42 North down in East Aurora. Now, it's going to be tomorrow, which is going to be the 21st of July. And why we are down there is because the Beaver Meadow Society is part of a fundraiser that's going on there, and that's in partnership with Outside Chronicles. Outside Chronicles is the group that I'm associated with that does the Western New York Hiking Challenge. Update on that is that hike number 26 now of 34 is in the books, as Franklin Golf down in Eden this past weekend. I swear there are times when I can talk. So we did Franklin Golf, and so there'll be a break in here about 2 or 3 weeks before we get into the next hike, because it's summertime and things are getting really busy. And I have things coming up myself, but the challenge itself is complete. We'll be moving forward from there. So Outside Chronicles is partnering up with the Beaver Meadow Conservancy, and you can join me and my friends on Wednesday night at 6 p.m., and that's at 42 North Brewery in East Aurora. It's right off of Main Street, and for every pint that you purchase there, $1 of that pint is going to go to the Beaver Meadow Conservancy. While we're there, we're going to be talking about all the great things that are going on, including the 42 North Outdoor Chronicles partnership that they have for their hiking challenge. 2 of those hikes I've already put in for, and actually I still have to submit the photos for those, so maybe that's something that I'll do after I get done putting this together tonight. So it's been a fun time, and I hope that you can join us on Wednesday. Also coming up this Saturday at the Hamburg Fairgrounds is going to be the annual Buffalo on Tap. Now, as we know, like everything else that we loved and enjoyed, Buffalo on Tap did not take place last year. Normally it's held at the convention center, and it's this 2-part, day-long, beer tasting, drinking, and camaraderie day. But they have moved this to the Hamburg Fairgrounds, and that'll take place this Saturday, the 24th, and that'll take place from 12 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Now, the tickets for the event for general admission are $45, and you can do that either for the 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. time frame or the 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. time frame. I believe that there's also I think there's a $55 option, if I remember this right. Oh, I'm trying to end my notes here. I did some poor notes on this. Why? Because originally I was supposed to go to this event. This golf tournament comes up. I won't be able to attend, but that's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get out and enjoy things. Why? Because, we're not in monsoon season currently. Who knows when that's going to start back up? But right now, the weather is expected to be 81 degrees and sunny on Saturday. So go out and enjoy it, which is a good thing, because considering I have golf Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and that the only day I really have to concern myself with is Sunday morning with a little bit of rain, I'll be fine with that. So head out to the fairgrounds on Saturday for Buffalo on Tap. Those tickets are available at buffaloontap.com, and I'm going to be shooting for 2022 to be part of that event. especially as I become more partnered up with more breweries around the area. So slowly getting out there and getting introduced to everybody. Now, the week before last, I had the opportunity to go back, or actually not go back, for my first visit ever. I went to Froth Brewing, which is located on the corner of Skillen and Military in Kenmore. It just had taken me a long time to get into Froth, and then the times that I was looking to get in there, for some reason that they had closed for a period of time, but it's great to know that they're back open and doing their thing. So I stopped back in there for one reason, and that was to pick up a particular beer. I will talk about that in the second half of this show, because it's going to be part of the tasting that I did for a movie day. And while I was there, hey, flights before pints, like I say, and I sat down and enjoyed first their pineapple Kolsch, because you have to appreciate a good Kolsch. For them, a 4.8 ABV, and it's a German-style Kolsch that's made with real pineapple. Great aroma and a great flavor right up front. It's, a very light and airy Kolsch as it goes. Very tasty. I enjoyed it very much. Went down quite smooth. One of the other ones that I moved to from there was called Loyal to the Grain. It was their German Pilsner. This one was, as traditional as a Pilsner goes. German style as it was as well. Very tasty, very flavorful. Went down smooth. It was a very clean Pilsner, which you have to appreciate. More breweries around the area are really perfecting their Pilsners. They have a DDH, Citra, Mosaic, and Eldorado hopped IPA that comes in surprisingly at a 6.7 ABV, which is completely respectable. One thing about this is it's a hazier IPA, but it is what you want from those hazy IPAs is that juicy flavor, and this nailed it down. It was definitely a juicy, it lived up to its name, Juice Life. It is a juicy, double-hopped IPA. It's got that mix of the Eldorado, the citric, and the Mosaic hops, and it was a complete home run. I really enjoyed this. As an IPA would go, I would sit down with this and make this a part of my, a summertime barbecue drink, something that I can enjoy, throughout the day. It's not too heavy, so, fruity, flavorful on top of it. You can really enjoy this all day long. And I finished off my flight with their Hang Loose. It's an Imperial Double IPA. And this, I won't even lie to you, was a firm punch in the face. Comes in at a 9.2 ABV, and it lived up to its hype. So you were talking a West Coast IPA loaded with Columbus, Centennial, Simcoe, Idaho Gem, and Amarillo hops. Oh, I think there was Cascade hops in this as well, if I remember from my notes here. Yep, there it is. Cascade hops as well. And this one was, it had a hell of a bite, but it was incredibly flavorful. Had a fruity back note to it, and it took me about half of this tasting glass, which was about 5 ounces, for it to, after having the other ones, to really start coming down on me hard. Enjoying the Hang Loose Imperial Double IPA, I realized I wasn't going to be able to drive at that point. So one of the good things about Froth that you will pick up quickly when you're in there is that the Buffalo Brothers Burgers is located inside the same facility. Now, you can follow them on social media at Buffalo Bros Burgers, and they are actually a food truck, but they run out of Froth Brewing, and they have a brick and mortar there where you can actually order at the counter, and they have the kitchen right behind. So it's literally the register, the counter, the door, and then the kitchen and back. They give you the sign, you come out. So I enjoyed their burger, I enjoyed their pretzel bites, and so the cheeseburger was very welcome after that tasting flight. I enjoyed everything that I had, and I look forward to another trip back to Froth. So a simple question I once picked up on an email that I received was about tasting parties and tastings that I do. And they're really quite easy. It's not something that you have to make a big deal about it. I mean, you really could. I've been to some tasting parties where it's kind of laid out, kind of elaborate. It's all, what you want to put into it, the variety that you make available, the fun that you have with it. Because really, what are you doing here is just tasting different varieties. So one of the questions that I've pitched to a few breweries that I've been at is, when they deliver flights to you, how do you know how to present it, like which order you should drink them in? A lot of times when you go to wineries, they want you to go from dry to sweet because of the different flavor profiles that are involved. But there are so many different profiles that come along with beer as opposed to wine. How do you know where to go? Do you go from the lowest ABV to the highest? Do you go from, let's say, a lighter such as a Kolsch, working your way up to a double hopped IPA? But a lot of breweries will tell you that they don't have a specific way of doing it. Some of them like it based on flavor profile, how they would like to deliver it to you, depending on their variety, which I think is great. And I'm always open to suggestions. So if they deliver it to me and say, "Hey, I put this in order that I think you should try it," you know what? That's the way I'm going to try it, because they have a reason to do it and they seem to think it works. And here's the thing about breweries. They don't just serve you beer just for the purpose of serving you beer, because they're in the business of creating good product. And if a product doesn't work, they won't do it again. So what you learn is, it's not about them telling you how it should taste, it's how it should taste to you. If you remember back from last week's interview at OSB Cider Works when I was talking with Elise Smith, one of the things that was brought up there is you can have 10 different people trying one product and they can give you 10 different answers. But it isn't about her or the brewery that would tell you how it should taste, it's how it tastes to you, because it's going to be different for everybody. So one of the things that I enjoy doing is, once in a while, whether it's a movie night or it's a get-together for dinner, is we will dig into consumer beverages or to Wegmans, do a pick-a-pack, and you'll be able to pick up items that are not only from the local area but nationally as well, because you want to really try the field out. And we did that for the movie Black Widow. Now, I'm going to tell you right up front, I am not going to spoil a single thing about the Black Widow movie. I will tell you this: I am a massive, colossal, huge, undeniably over-the-top Marvel nerd. I am. I didn't read many comic books growing up, but I was very familiar with them because other people would let me read their comics. I was always, even though I was a DC fan as well, I was heavily Marvel over DC because I thought that the characters were more compelling, and I was always drawn to one particular character, and that being Captain America. Downstairs in my basement / gym / putting green / podcast / studio, quote studio, not really a studio, I have, a lot of Americana, Captain America inspired merch, I guess you could say, down there. So that's where my love of Marvel comes from, all the way from the first Iron Man movie all the way through to Endgame. And I don't think that there was a story that I didn't like. There was always, different manifestations of the different superheroes. I much prefer the Tom Holland, Spider-Man over the Tobey Maguire. I am by far a bigger Mark Ruffalo fan than I ever was in Edward Norton. And I honestly believe when Mark Ruffalo became the Incredible Hulk, that it was an apology to all of us fans and giving us exactly what we needed. And going forward, they would never need to change a thing. Now, granted, probably in 30, 35 years, I'll bet you they do it all over again. But if you're going to collect everything that they have in the Marvel Universe, you have yourself many, many hours of entertainment. Each character has its own addition to the Marvel Universe, and Black Widow is no exception. So take in the movie where you can, whether it's on theater, whether you do it on Disney Plus. It's not a free plug for them, but I'm liking where movies are going now, where rights are getting sold to streaming networks, because coming out of the pandemic, you're looking at people who are more comfortable doing it in their home, and if there's a market for sales there, well, by all means, do it. To me, it's not all about the number of dollars at the end. It's about the quality of the product that gets put out there. There was maybe one, maybe two Marvel movies that I was meh on. Black Widow was not one of them. So go out and take it in however you choose to, and, decide what you do. If you're going to go out, hey, maybe catch dinner someplace at a brewery, hey, and take in a flight of your own. So this is what we did. So we we did a kind of a lunch thing of Jamaican jerk wings, and then there was some homemade maple bourbon habanero wings that were quite on point. And I look forward to how those evolve. And then that evolved into, for the evening, going into some flatbread pizzas, the movie, and obviously plenty of beer tasting throughout the day. We started off with Resurgence and their Tangerine Kolsch, which speaks for itself because it is all flavor, all up front. I could drink that one all day. I appreciate good Kolsch. I think I said that in the first part of today's episode. I appreciate good Kolsch. I'm enjoying German style beers more and more. I cannot wait until my life and my schedule allows for me to take a trip overseas. Currently bumping around an idea for 2022, maybe possibly getting over to Belgium. Not sure if that's going to work. We'll figure it out. How about we start with just taking 1 or 2 days off for a golf outing and not having hell break loose at work? That would be very nice, Pumpkin. Okay? So from the Resurgence Tangerine Kolsch, we moved on to Shriner, which is part of the Spotzel Brewery in Shriner, Texas, and their Hill Country Peach Wheat. Now, I've seen this in many places, available in 6-pack bottles, and I like good wheat beer as well. I think peach as a summer flavor right now is nice because the problem is you're running into too much blueberry out there. And don't get me wrong, I like good blueberry beer. I'm drawn to it, but I'm drawing also to the peach because there are some great peach products out there this season. This is no exception. So the Hill Country Peach Wheat was very clean, great peach flavor. It has that if you, for lack of a better term, that almost smooth grit that comes with wheat beer. And don't use that word grit too literal. Wheat just has a unique flavor profile. It coats the tongue well. If you drink beer, most people will just put it on their lips or on the tip of their tongue and think, well, it's IPA, it's hoppy, I don't like it. They're going to put it on the tip of their tongue and nothing. If you don't take a good swig and coat your tongue with it, because you can get different flavor profiles from different parts of your tongue, the bitter, the sweet, the sours. If you're not coating your tongue, then you're just not doing yourself any service. You can't dip your tongue into it. It's not like dipping your toe into a pool to see if it's too cold. Try it out and see if you like it. This, I think anybody could like. Wheat beer is easy to appreciate, but a peach flavor like this is definitely a good combination and something to really, really appreciate. Now, with highs such as this, there are, tends to be some lows. There is nothing about a local brewery that I could speak ill of because the attempts are out there, and a local brewery is going to know if they put out a poor product, and they most of the time won't do it, or they'll do it just to get by and they'll keep it local in-house. But I doubt that they would can it and send it out to the community. So I've talked about in the past, I've talked about here. I like Kolsch's. I like wheat beers. I like a good Vienna. I like Belgian beers. I especially like double hop IPAs. Interestingly enough, one of the ones that I have in my personal stock right now is the Double Dan Citra IPA from Warhorse Brewery. Shout out to them. They won first place in New York State in the brewing competition this past week out in the Finger Lakes. I am happy that I have a 4-pack of that on hand because now it is considered the number 1 beer in all of New York State. So I'm looking forward to having that. I'll probably do that when I get back from the golf weekend because the event itself is dry, which I respect. But I'm going to enjoy some Rochester breweries while I'm out there this weekend. So, like I said, with ups comes downs. Now, I'm going to talk about this, exactly what it is. It's called Area 2 Experimental Brewing. Look that up yourself. It is a pineapple, it's called Pineapple Sour D, and it is a hazy hemp IPA with pineapple. Let that sink in for a moment. It is a hazy IPM made with hemp with pineapple. I will never. I did this. I coated my tongue with it. I've never had something nastier as a beer goes cross my tongue, and I've had a few beers that just don't appeal to me. This was the definition, unfortunately, of wretched. My first encounter with a hemp IPA, and might very well be my last, because it is a flavor profile that I just do not appreciate. I don't know what they were thinking. They put that out there, and to whomever is going to drink that and go, that's good stuff, well, good on you. But all of us that were that were present for that tasting all had the exact same opinion. It was one of the most wretched things that had ever touched their tongue. Never again. We dumped the rest of it out. We were done with it. Moving on. So, Rusty Nickel, which is located in West Seneca. Their location is behind the Ebenezer Ale House in West Seneca. And I told you a few weeks back about my incident where I left my debit card there by accident and I had to go back, so I ended up getting a crowler. So I picked up their Imperial Porter, which is called the Violet You're Turning Violet. And it is a blueberry Imperial Porter, which it was hearty, just popping with blueberry flavor, and I enjoyed it immensely. It was liked in the group as well, and we basically burned through the entire crowler before we moved on. So it was definitely a hit. I look forward to going back to Rusty Nickel to try more. That was part of my second visit that I had been there, and there's still so many more things, and they put out new product all the time there. So you ever get into West Seneca, like I said, behind the Ebenezer Ale House, stop into Rusty Nickel. They have the garage doors that open up to the patio out back. Summer nights, everything's wide open. The music's playing. Great atmosphere there, and taking a great flight and pull up one of their tables out back. We moved on to watermelon Kolsch, that's also known as Seed Spitter. That was from 12 Gates, one of their newer ones that came out for this summer. And it met across the table with it was a good beer. Not sure how watermelon translates, but it was a good flavor. I like watermelon as it goes in a beer, so we enjoyed that. 12 Gates is always another one that has so many great new products that are coming out. Don't worry about the location. Once you get back there, they have a great outdoor space, and it's really good for them to bring a lot to Western New York. And they're set back off the road enough you don't get the road noise back there. The inside is a great ambiance. I was at the craft event with my friend Nick, who I'll be golfing with this weekend, and he had never been inside, and he was even commenting on how the ambiance is there. Good food there. And they always have musicians that come in pretty much every week. So take a look at their schedule on the web at 12 Gates, and make sure that you stop in and take in what they have going on throughout the summer. So Stone Brewing was up next. That's out of San Diego County. Now Stone Brewing has been around since 1996. And this was a hazy IPA that was brewed with tangerine and pineapple. Now, pineapple, of course, coming in as one of the summer flavors, especially out west. And this one was called the Tangerine Express. I enjoyed this because I do like when good fruit flavor is married together in a brew. I like hazy IPAs because, again, you get fruity, you get juicy, and it really makes those flavors pop. So this was a great opportunity to kind of exploit one of those West Coast style IPAs. So we were off and running on that one. We moved on there to what was a interesting favorite of ours was Thirsty Dog Brewing Company, which is out of Akron, Ohio, and their Raspberry Ale. That was an absolute winner with everybody that was in attendance. Raspberry is a great flavor in beer that translates. A great pop, full of fruity flavor, but you still get that ale, that wholesome ale taste that comes with it. I noticed that it was from Akron, Ohio. I had recognized the name, so my friend Chelsea, who runs the Moms Who Keep It Real podcast, you can find them on social media at Moms Who Keep It Real for all you ladies out there. Talk about a young mom with two young kids who talks about transitioning through pregnancy, life, after birth, postpartum. She brings so much information to the table. She has guests that she brings on. I encourage you to check them out. Moms Who Keep It Real. That's with my friend Chelsea. Chelsea and I, and at some point we're going to be doing a little group tasting once we figure out how the logistics are going to work on it. So definitely look forward to that. And this raspberry ale was a huge hit with everybody in attendance. And then we finished it off with, like I mentioned in the first part where we were talking about froth, and I had picked up a particular item that I brought to the party, essentially. And that item was one of their lollipop brands, which it basically translates to a PB&J sour. Now, as I record this, it is no longer on the menu because it is one of those popular items that goes so fast. Even though they make a ton of it and can a ton of it, it is just that popular. Think about a good peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You've got that grape. You've got that peanut butter, almost stouty taste. You've got graham that makes up for that the bread that you'll find in there. You put all those flavors together into essentially a sour, and not a heavy sour either. A lot of those sours are thick. They almost you almost can't drink them because they're so heavy, and a lot of breweries can potentially go over the top of them. Sours are very popular. We understand that, but to make a good flavorful sour that is popular with everybody, this is it right here. And so it made for a good dessert for the end of basically our beer tasting, and it was well received. It definitely brought the flavor profiles. I have 3 more of them still in my fridge, so I'll be enjoying them on as kind of a desserty beer coming up. And again, I look forward to going back to Froth and trying some more of their beers. This is, again, it's part of their lollipop series that they seem to be doing all the time there. Currently, now I went onto their website to see what they had in stock in their liquid lollipop variety. They have their sangria, which is orange, blueberry, green apple, and strawberry, which is a fruited sour. They also have their Sex on the Beach, which is peach, orange, and cranberry. That's also available in a fruited sour. And a lot of those come in right at that 6.5 ABV, which is very common for sours out there. And that's how you basically do a simple tasting. It was nothing fancy. It was just friends, family. You get together, you tip a glass, you enjoy some flavors, you talk about it a little bit. In this case, we had some food, we took in some movie time, and you've got the makings for an entire afternoon. I always look forward to them because you never know what is going to come to the table. You can do the same thing if you were sitting around, tasting flights. What I like to do when I'm with other people is if they don't mind it, you all get flights with different things on it, and you're literally just passing glasses around the table. Here, try this, taste that. What do you think of this? And you all are tasting the same thing and trying it out. And before you realize it, you've drank down about 2.5 beers worth, but you've gotten so many different flavor notes and hours worth of potential conversation. Something for you to keep on the back burner, and this is basically a locked episode that's going to be coming up. It'll take place on the episode that'll drop on Tuesday, August the 17th, and it is going to be appropriately named The Canadian Invasion. So a friend of mine who has family in Canada who had not seen her parents in essentially over 16 months was finally able to get back to Canada and spend time with her family, get to see her mom and dad, get to see her nieces and nephews, and was able to bring back some of the craft beer tastiness that comes from the land up north. So to my friends who are potentially listening to this from Canada, Justin Trudeau has exercised his rights there and said, well, Americans can come up as of August the 9th, but unfortunately we had to jump through hoops to do it. I'm going to wait a little bit longer before I go up, but there is a plan for me to basically do a Canadian winery and a Canadian distillery tour once things are fully opened up. However long it takes, I will be patient. But in the meantime, like I said, if it's something you want to put in the back of your brain for right now, that episode is going to drop on Tuesday, August 17th, entitled The Canadian Invasion. And it's going to essentially be a group of friends getting together, and we are going to do a bazaar of Canadian craft beers for your enjoyment, and be able to talk to you about the different breweries that are up there. And I think it's going to be a fantastic episode. So, look, that's the makings of an episode right there. We're done. Next week, you're going to get me, basically going on about golf courses and some of the breweries in Rochester, things to do, places to go, things to enjoy. That's what we do here at the Buffalo Brews podcast. Follow us on social media, on Instagram and on Facebook. You can go on and, like I said, listen to us. You can, comment. You can ask questions. Hey, keep those emails coming. The email heat has died down, and that, while it's fine, I miss you. Hey, give us a write back. What do you want to know? What do you want to know about me? I'll have to open up the mailbag at some point, because I have some questions that I've answered to people in emails, but I've kept the questions because I find them interesting, and that people are actually wanting to ask about me. One of the things that has come up is the fact that I talk about the fact that I drove for Uber for as long as I did. I haven't driven Uber since 2 weeks before the pandemic started back in 2020. I have no intention of going back. I don't have a need to go back. Plus, paying those taxes is a pain in the butt to do. You got to file them quarterly, and they're really just a pain. So, but they want to hear about my stories from the road. So maybe sometime down the road, we'll talk about that. But social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, that is your own path out there. And we'll talk to you next week. So long.